Rest your mind, the journey begins in silence. Let the day drift away like mist over quiet water. The air is soft now, slow and forgiving. You are here between wakefulness and dream, where time no longer moves in straight lines, and every sound feels like a memory returning home. In this stillness, the world breathes gently. The wind stretches across the earth, carrying fragments of forgotten voices. The hum of old stone walls, the sigh of grass under morning dew, the pulse of distant hooves fading into the horizon. Everything that ever was continues to whisper, low and endless. The sound of life is never gone, it only changes shape. It becomes the creak of wood in the night, the hum of a string beneath waiting fingers, the shimmer of a single note echoing through time. It becomes the quiet between heartbeats, the silence that hums like music we cannot hear. Here, we do not rush. We do not chase. We listen. To the breath of wind, to the murmur of earth, to the long and gentle voice of the past. What you are about to hear is not a story of battle or glory, but of stillness, of the way sound travels through centuries, changing yet remaining the same. This is the rhythm of the world when no one is watching. The song of stone, of wind, of string, each carrying the next through the wide quiet of time. So breathe. Let your thoughts dissolve like smoke in evening air. The night is long, but it is kind. The stories that follow will not wake you. They will hold you, gently, completely, until sleep arrives, like light fading from the edge of the world. Once, before the world was marked by clocks or noise, there was only movement, slow, patient, inevitable. The morning rose in silver mist over fields of grass, and a lone figure stirred within it. The first story begins there, among the fog and the whisper of armor, where a soldier wakes beneath the pale breath of dawn. His world is made of still air and soft light, of wind brushing across iron, of footsteps through dew that glows faintly under a distant sun. From that quiet beginning, time unfolds like a long ribbon. Each chapter drifts into the next, the wind across the great wall, the rider upon the endless prairie, the song that trembles within a violin's hollow heart. These are not tales of noise and motion. They are lullabies written by the earth itself. Each moment hums with life, yet nothing rushes. You will hear the rhythm of footsteps, the echo of distant horns, the hush of voices that never speak. You will feel the stillness between them, the space where thought dissolves and only presence remains. Every sound is gentle, every image soft. Even history here breathes in slow motion. The story will move through time, through stone, through air. You will walk with soldiers who never fight, ride with couriers who never hurry, and sit beside fires that never burn too bright. You will hear strings hum across centuries, their tone weaving through dust and memory, until it becomes one endless, perfect note. And somewhere within that sound you may feel the quiet heart of the world, steady, timeless, waiting. Now, rest. Let the night carry you forward. The story begins, softly, like dawn breaking over a silent field, and as it unfolds, you will drift with it, through history, through sound, through the breath of time itself. The Medieval Soldier, A Long Day. The dawn rises slowly, drifting into the quiet folds of a cold and endless field. The air is soft, filled with a thin veil of mist that moves like breath across the grass. Every blade glimmers with dew, faint and silver beneath the pale morning light. The sky is still, resting in shades of grey and blue, untouched by the sun's warmth. In the distance, a small bird calls once, then falls silent again, leaving only the hush of wind that slides over the open land. The sound is gentle, drawn out, carrying the feeling of distance and calm. Near the edge of the camp, the last embers of a night fire whisper their fading warmth. Thin trails of smoke rise and curl, dissolving quietly into the morning fog. The ground is cool, marked by footprints and soft ash. A few pieces of wood crack faintly, then fall still. The scent of smoke lingers, blending with the earth, with the damp of night still clinging to the soil. It is not silence, but the kind of quiet that seems alive, breathing softly with every movement of air. Somewhere, faint and far away, metal touches metal, not in battle but in small, ordinary sound, a buckle lifted, a clasp adjusted, a chain sliding against armor. It is steady, slow, familiar. The world has not yet awakened. It only stirs beneath layers of mist. The light remains low, the horizon hidden, the sun only a thought behind the clouds. Each breath seems slower here, drawn deep and easy. The wind drifts through a stand of trees, shaking a few leaves loose, sending them spinning gently to the ground. Nothing rushes. The air is thick with calm, and time feels long and unbroken. The fire fades into smoke. The smoke becomes a faint shimmer. The shimmer disappears. The soldier has not yet moved, and still, the world continues its quiet turning. The first touch of sunlight begins to slip across the field, thin as a whisper. The mist thins, the air warms slightly, but the peace remains. This is the hour before sound, before motion, before thought. The land is calm, and everything within it rests, wrapped in the slow rhythm of morning. The soldier stirs beneath the pale shimmer of morning light, his breath slow and even, curling into the air like faint smoke. Around him, the camp lies still, wrapped in layers of soft mist that move gently with the wind. The ground beneath is cold, the scent of ash and damp earth lingering from the night before. He opens his eyes slowly, as though waking from a dream that has not yet ended. For a moment, he does not move. The world feels quiet and far away, and the air presses cool against his skin. When he finally sits up, the faint clink of metal breaks the stillness. His armor, resting beside him, shifts and whispers against the fabric beneath. The sound is small, delicate, and it seems to echo into the distance. He moves with care, not from weariness, but from habit, each motion unhurried, deliberate. His hands find the cloth laid across the ground, brushing away the thin layer of dust that has settled overnight. The soft light catches on the curve of his armor as he wipes it clean, his fingers tracing the edge where metal meets leather. The surface is cool to the touch, damp from the morning air. He lifts a strap, pulls it gently through a buckle, and tightens it with a quiet creak. His movements have a rhythm to them, almost musical in their slowness, as if the morning itself were breathing with him. He reaches for the helmet beside him, old and worn, marked by time. The steel gleams faintly, catching the weak sunlight that filters through the fog. As he raises it, a drop of dew slides down its side and lands softly on the ground. The chill in the air fills his lungs as he takes a long, steady breath. It is sharp, clean, and clear. He exhales slowly, and his breath drifts away in a soft white cloud that disappears almost at once. The grass around him shivers with the wind, a sound like paper moving gently in the dark. The faint crunch beneath his boots follows as he stands, stretching his arms, the leather of his gloves creaking softly. Somewhere nearby, a horse exhales a low, heavy sound that rolls through the still air. The soldier glances toward it, though he does not speak or call out. The moment is too peaceful to disturb. The mist continues to drift, the light grows a little brighter, and the sound of the world remains subdued. Only the quiet rhythm of breath, the whisper of wind, and the faint rustle of armor fill the space. The soldier stands within it all, calm and still, as morning fully awakens around him. The morning unfolds gently, as if the air itself were learning how to breathe again. The mist has begun to thin, drifting upward in slow ribbons, revealing the dim shapes of tents and scattered campfires. The first light touches the world in quiet motion, painting everything in soft shades of silver and pale gold. The air carries sound now, faint and layered, a tapestry of calm and rhythm. The wind moves first. It slides across the grass, whispering against the blades, rising and falling in an easy pattern. It hums through the edges of the camp, slipping past ropes, through the cracks of wood and leather, weaving a song that belongs only to the early hours. Each gust seems to blend with the next, forming a slow and endless melody. Then comes the faint ring of metal. It is not sharp or sudden, but gentle, scattered like rain striking stone. Somewhere, someone adjusts a clasp, a buckle, a blade. The sound of iron meeting iron echoes softly, repeating in no particular order, yet carrying a sense of rhythm all the same. It is the heartbeat of the waking world, steady, familiar, without urgency. Voices join next, low and muted, the way people speak when the morning is still fragile. A few words travel through the air, almost carried away before they reach the ear. They blend together, a murmur of human warmth surrounded by wind and breath. The tones are calm, the cadence unbroken, voices passing by and fading like waves against sand. From beyond the camp, birds begin to stir. Their calls rise and fall between the hills, thin and clear. Some sound near, perched in the trees that edge the field. Others echo faintly from far away. Their song does not fill the air. It decorates it, adding small, delicate notes to the morning's quiet composition. The rhythm of wings flutters softly, a whisper that passes overhead before fading into the pale distance. Somewhere deeper within the camp, the low rumble of men moving together begins to form. Footsteps, shifting gear, the shuffle of cloth, the brush of movement over earth. It is not noise, not disorder, but the slow pulse of 1,000 tiny motions happening at once. Everything moves together, but nothing hurries. Each sound falls into place, one after another, like water finding its level. As the light grows stronger, shadows stretch longer, and the sounds settle into balance. The clink of armor, the flap of a banner in the wind, the murmur of quiet laughter. All of it weaves into the same soft rhythm. It feels less like preparation and more like memory, as though the world repeats its gentle ritual each morning just to remember that it exists. The air remains cool, the earth firm, the wind steady. Nothing interrupts the calm. It is the sound of life at its slowest, unbroken, unforced. A world waking not from restlessness, but from peace. The soldier listens, not moving, letting the quiet music of morning wash through him until he can no longer tell where the sound ends and silence begins. The morning has settled into a quiet rhythm. The mist has lifted, but the air still holds the softness of early light. Near the edge of the camp, a small fire flickers, its flames calm and steady, burning with a slow orange glow. The soldier sits beside it, his movements unhurried, his breath even. The sound of the fire is gentle, a faint crackle that fills the space between heartbeats. Ash drifts upward, caught for a moment in the air before disappearing into the pale sky. Beside him lies a small pack, simple and worn. He reaches into it, takes out a piece of bread hardened by the cold night, and breaks it in two. The crust snaps softly beneath his hands, the sound small but clear. He passes one piece to another soldier who sits across the fire, and they eat in silence, chewing slowly, each bite thoughtful, unspoken. There is no need for words. The world around them speaks in softer tones. The fire, the wind, the faint stir of horses shifting in the distance. A leather flask passes between them, water moving inside with a quiet slosh. Each man drinks a little, then closes it again, setting it near the edge of the fire. The warmth of the flames reaches their hands, faint but steady. Smoke curls upward, fragrant with wood and ash, mingling with the cool air of the morning. A few steps away, another man kneels on the ground, his needle moving carefully through a tear in his sleeve. The thread glints in the light as he pulls it tight, again and again, each motion small and precise. The rhythm of the stitching matches the slow beat of the fire, steady, consistent, patient. Beside him, someone draws a whetstone along the edge of a sword. The metal hums softly under its touch. Not sharp, not harsh, only the faint sound of effort meeting time. The blade is old, worn, streaked with rust that refuses to fade. He works quietly, his motions measured, not to sharpen, but to preserve. Across the field, the neighboring camp begins to stir. Thin smoke rises from their fires, twisting and folding into the air like drifting silk. The flames shimmer faintly through the fog, their reflections dancing on the armor that hangs nearby. The sight is distant, softened by distance and light, yet somehow comforting, a reminder that others move through the same quiet morning, doing the same simple things. Nothing urgent happens. The soldiers' gestures are calm, their eyes half-lidded with rest. A bird lands on a wooden post, its feathers catching the light before it flies away. The fire settles lower, crackling once more, before fading to a warm glow. Everything moves, but slowly, gently, as if the world itself has agreed to stay still for just a little longer. It is a moment without noise or thought, only breath, warmth, and the quiet repetition of life. The light of day begins to soften, melting slowly into the cool edges of evening. The sun lingers low on the horizon, spreading wide strokes of gold and pale rose across the sky. The air carries the scent of grass and dust, touched with the faint sweetness of distant wood smoke. The long march of the day has ended, and everything now moves at a gentler pace. The fields lie open and still, each blade of grass swaying slightly in the slow rhythm of the wind. The warmth of the afternoon fades by degrees, replaced by the hush of twilight, steady and calm. The soldiers have stopped, the sound of armor has quieted, the horses stand tethered, heads low, their breath drifting like clouds. A few men move about, their footsteps soft, careful not to disturb the stillness. The faint clatter of a pot, the muted creak of leather straps, the whisper of voices carried briefly on the wind, all of it blends into a single low hum that feels more like a heartbeat than sound. The sky deepens to amber, then copper, then violet. Shadows grow longer, stretching across the earth like folded wings. The last rays of sunlight brush against metal, glinting briefly before fading. The soldier's armor glows faintly as if it remembers the light even after it is gone. The wind moves through the grass again, a sound that could almost be mistaken for breathing. It moves slow, then slower, until it becomes one with the coming night. A small fire flickers near the center of the camp, bright enough to hold the dark at bay, but gentle in its light. Around it, The soldiers sit quietly, each lost in thought or nothing at all. One of them leans forward, poking the wood with a stick, sending up a shower of sparks that dance briefly before disappearing into the air. The orange glow touches their faces, softening every line, every mark of wear, into something peaceful. Their eyes half close, their hands rest still. The sound of the fire is a quiet companion. It pops and sighs, wood settling into coal, flames folding and unfolding in endless rhythm. Occasionally, a gust of wind passes through, bending the flames sideways before letting them rise again. The glow reflects in the dull shine of armor, in the curve of a helmet resting on the ground. The air is warm near the fire but cool just beyond it, a perfect balance between comfort and stillness. The soldier closest to the fire draws his cloak tighter, his movements slow and effortless. He stares into the flames, watching the shapes shift, orange turning to red, red to blue, blue to faint white at the very core. His eyes follow the glow until they begin to blur, his thoughts wandering without form or purpose. The light plays across his face, across the shadows of his hands, painting them in soft motion. His breath is steady, calm, his eyelids growing heavier with each passing moment. Around him, the camp breathes in unison. The sound of horses rustling fades to silence, the last murmured voices fall away. Only the wind remains, brushing gently through the tall grass, carrying the faint, endless murmur of the land. Somewhere far off, an owl calls once, its voice low and round, then disappears into the distance. The stars begin to appear, first one, then another, then hundreds more, scattered across the deepening sky. The world grows dim and vast, but never cold. The night gathers itself slowly, softly, wrapping the camp in layers of darkness and comfort. The soldier leans back now, resting his hands on the earth behind him, feeling the ground still warm from the day. He closes his eyes, the orange of the fire painting gentle shapes on the inside of his lids. The air feels clean, the stillness almost tender. The flames continue to crackle, small bursts of sound, each one fading before the next begins. The grass sways with the rhythm of the wind, bending, returning, bending again. The night hums quietly, a lullaby made of air and earth. Nothing stirs without reason, nothing moves too fast. The soldier exhales, his breath joining the cool drift of night, his body sinking into ease. The stars above shimmer softly, reflecting in his half-closed eyes for a moment before disappearing. The sound of the fire remains faint and steady, its glow pulsing like a heartbeat. The wind drifts once more, carrying away the last traces of the day, the scent of smoke, the warmth of sun, the echo of distant horns. All that's left is peace. The world exhales long and slow, and the night takes its place. The soldier lets his gaze fall into the flames one last time, eyes heavy, heartbeat slow. The fire sighs, the wind moves on, and the darkness folds around them both, gentle, endless, still. The Great Wall, the breath of time. Across the northern lands, where the earth stretches without end, the wind drifts low and steady, carrying the quiet song of the desert. The hills roll gently beneath the pale sky, their shapes softened by time and dust. Fine grains of sand move like waves, sliding over one another in endless rhythm, whispering as they go. The air is cool and dry, filled with the scent of stone and sun. Nothing stirs but the wind, and even it moves with patience, as if reluctant to disturb the silence that has lingered for centuries. On these golden slopes, light falls like silk. It glides across the ridges, touches the ground, and disappears again, leaving behind faint glimmers that shift with every breath of air. The sky above is wide and weightless, painted in pale blue that fades to white at the edges. There are no sounds of life here. No footsteps, no voices, only the delicate hiss of sand brushing against stone. Each gust leaves a mark, small and fleeting, before the next comes to erase it. The land feels ancient, untouched. The ground beneath the drifting dunes holds the memory of countless days, the quiet trace of wind and time woven together. The air moves slowly across the surface, tracing invisible lines, shaping the hills, grain by grain. The sound of it is almost a murmur, deep and low, the steady rhythm of the earth's breathing. As the light begins to shift, shadows stretch long and thin, flowing like water through the valleys of sand. The color of the world deepens, gold into amber, amber into bronze. Every movement seems slower here, as if time itself has thickened, choosing not to rush. The wind sighs again, rising briefly before falling back into stillness. Nothing breaks the calm. The desert holds its breath, vast and unending. The sand continues its slow, graceful motion, the sound faint and smooth like silk against stone. The wind passes over it all, soft and eternal, carrying with it the quiet heartbeat of the land. A rhythm that has never stopped, not for 1,000 years. Along the quiet slope of a distant hill, the first stones begin to move. The morning light glows softly against the rough edges, catching the fine dust that rises with every touch. A line of workers stands in silence, their shadows long across the ground. They do not rush. Each movement is measured, each breath even, each sound a note within a greater stillness. The rhythm of their work is slow, patient, steady, a quiet pulse that seems to echo through the hills themselves. The first stone is lifted, its weight felt in the shoulders, in the hands, but not spoken of. It shifts slightly, then settles into place with a soft thud, followed by another and another. The sound is delicate, almost tender. Stone meeting stone, a quiet greeting rather than a strike. Between each motion there is a pause, the breath of the worker, the whisper of the wind, the faint rasp of sand beneath their feet. These small sounds blend together, creating a gentle, living harmony that fills the air. A shovel moves against the earth, not in force but in rhythm, cutting lightly, turning the soil. The sound is steady, smooth, like a heartbeat beneath the ground. Dust rises in thin lines, twisting briefly before vanishing into the stillness. Every gesture is simple, repeated countless times, shaped by patience more than strength. No voices call out, no commands are needed. The workers understand the flow of the task. One hand to lift, one to guide, one to set. The stones form a slow curve along the ridge, each one resting against the next as though they have been waiting for this moment. Sunlight begins to slide across their surfaces, soft and gold, bringing a warmth that seems to breathe life into the growing wall. The sound of progress is quiet, almost shy. Stone against stone, shovel against earth, wind through dust. Together they form something that feels older than time, as if the land itself had decided to take shape through human hands. The hill holds its silence, and the wall begins to rise, not from struggle, but from calm, built not by force, but by patience, breath after breath, moment by moment. A new wind rises across the northern plain, carrying the breath of time through valleys of dust and stone. The light has shifted now, deeper, warmer, brushing the edge of the hills where the first walls begin to form. It is the age of Qin, a dynasty brief as a single dawn, yet strong enough to leave its mark upon the endless land. The sound of the wind deepens, sweeping through the canyons, across the dunes, over the first foundations of the Great Wall, The air grows heavier with sand. Tiny grains roll along the face of the new stone, tapping lightly as they fall, gathering at the base like whispers, collecting in silence. The sound is constant, not sharp, but steady and soft, blending with the hum of the wind. It feels as though the desert itself is breathing, its rhythm echoing through the wide and open spaces. In the distance, a long line of workers moves slowly along the ridge. Their silhouettes are faint, almost transparent in the haze of sunlight. They walk without urgency, each step a quiet mark upon the earth. Their robes drift in the wind, their tools glint faintly under the sun. They do not speak, they only move forward, fading gradually into the horizon. The light swallows them, and yet their presence remains, imprinted upon the stones they leave behind. The wall stretches like a quiet scar upon the land, not yet complete, but alive with intention. Layer upon layer, the stones rise, small fragments of earth turned into memory. The color of the wall matches the desert that surrounds it, gold fading into brown, brown into shadow. The wind carries a faint tone through the gaps, a low hum that vibrates against the surface. It is not a song, yet it sounds like one. The slow voice of time passing. The Qin ruled for only a breath in the scale of centuries, but their mark became the first whisper of eternity. The stones they placed have endured the silence of countless winters, the scorch of endless summers, the turning of all seasons that followed. Each block of earth and clay still carries the trace of hands that once shaped it, of footsteps that once pressed the ground beneath. As the day drifts toward its end, the wind grows stronger, sweeping across the open plain. Sand rises in spirals, swirling like faint smoke. The light of the sun tilts lower, scattering gold across the wall's surface, catching on its edges like tiny sparks. Far away, the silhouettes of the workers vanish completely, lost to the glow of the afternoon. The land is empty again, wide and silent, yet not alone. The first walls stand quietly beneath the sky. They do not speak, but their presence hums softly through the air. The sand slides against them, the wind calls their name, and still they remain, anchored in the desert, unmoving, patient. These stones have seen everything, and they will see everything still to come. They are the first layer of memory, placed by unseen hands, kept alive by the slow and endless breath of time. The wind changes, carrying with it a softer rhythm, the distant echo of hooves moving slowly across the open plains. The sound drifts faintly through the air, far enough to seem imagined, yet clear enough to linger. It is the era of Han, when the wall stretches further than sight, following the quiet curve of the earth itself. The land breathes wide and endless here, filled with the scent of grass and the murmur of faraway streams. The wall moves with the land. It does not cut across it, but flows through it, bending with the shape of each hill, tracing the outline of the mountains, curling gently through the valleys. From above, it looks like a sleeping dragon beneath the mist, long, silent, and calm. The stones gleam faintly in the morning light, their edges softened by years of wind and dust. Between each section, tufts of grass sway, brushing against the surface as if greeting an old friend. A faint breeze rises, gliding through the endless expanse of the steppe. The sound of hooves grows a little stronger, then fades again like a heartbeat lost in distance. The horses move in steady rhythm, their riders wrapped in cloaks that flutter softly behind them. They follow the path of the wall, disappearing and reappearing between ridges of light and shadow. No hurry, no sound of command, only the quiet pace of travel, the meeting of human breath and the earth's patience. The sky above the plains feels eternal. Layers of clouds drift low and slow, their shadows sliding across the fields below. The wall weaves through it all, across rivers shallow and clear, over slopes where wildflowers bloom, through passes where only the wind dares to stay. In every curve, in every turn, there is grace. The wall does not rise in defiance, it simply exists, like the line of a horizon that has always been there. Sometimes the wind falls silent. The grass stops moving, the horses vanish from sight, and only the sound of air remains, thin and endless. Then slowly, the world begins again. The whisper of wind, the soft rustle of leaves, the faint clink of stone settling against stone. Time flows quietly here, like water beneath ice, unseen but constant. The wall glows faintly as the sun begins to tilt, its surface brushed with amber light. It seems alive in the distance, breathing with the rhythm of the plains. The wind carries the faintest hum through the cracks, a note that fades into the horizon. Nothing stirs but the grass, nothing moves but the light, and the wall lies there still, curved, patient, unbroken, like a long dream sleeping within the heart of the land. The wind has grown stronger now, carrying with it the scent of dust and stone. The sound of hammers drifts through the air, not loud, not harsh, but rhythmic and steady, echoing softly against the hills. It is the era of Ming, the last breath of a long creation. The wall stretches across the land like a ribbon of earth and memory, reaching toward the horizon where light and mist meet. Every strike of the hammer is a heartbeat, every echo a reminder that something is coming to rest. The workers move with quiet focus. Their hands are firm but calm, their motions precise. They lift the final stones, smooth and cold beneath their palms, and set them carefully into place. The sound of stone against stone rings out softly, followed by the sigh of settling dust. Between each motion there is a pause, a breath taken, a look exchanged, the brief hum of wind passing through the gaps of unfinished work. Time feels slower here, as if the world itself were holding still to watch. The walls are higher now, shaped by centuries of patience. Watchtowers rise along the ridges, their edges catching the faint gold of afternoon. The scaffolding creaks quietly, ropes swaying with the breeze. A man steps forward holding a single brick, its surface marked with the faint lines of his fingers. He places it atop the tower, presses it down gently, and lets his hand rest there for a moment. The gesture is simple, almost sacred, but not in worship, only in peace. The hammer falls one last time, its sound dissolving into the open air. The echoes fade slowly, carried away by the wind. Around the workers, silence returns, wide and weightless. They lower their tools, their shoulders relaxing as if the land itself has exhaled. Dust glimmers in the light, turning gold before it falls. Over the stones, the first traces of moss begin to appear, faint, soft, green against the grey. The wall breathes quietly, its rough skin warming under the sun. It no longer grows, it simply exists, complete, content. The air hums low, carrying the same steady rhythm that has followed the wall through all its ages. The workers step back, looking across the vast stretch of stone and earth that winds through the mountains and plains. The light shifts across it in long, gentle waves, revealing 1,000 shades of brown, gold, and shadow. The wind continues to move through the valleys, touching each tower, each path, each crevice. It sings softly, almost imperceptibly, a sound too delicate to name. The day begins to fade. The sky deepens to blue, the first stars forming like sparks above the ridges. The wall stands in silence, no longer a task, no longer a burden, only a presence. It feels alive, though still, as if it were breathing through the cracks between its stones. The workers leave quietly, their footsteps soft against the earth. The wind grows cooler, brushing through the open watchtowers, slipping between the gaps where stone meets air. The wall remains behind, timeless and unmoving, wrapped in its own calm. And now, as the light fades completely, only one sound remains. The wind, steady and eternal, drifting through the stones that have outlived their makers. The great wall rests and the world rests with it. The wall has closed itself now, and only the wind passes through its ancient seams. The voice softens now, slower, the words flowing like air over stone. The great wall lies beneath a silver sky, its long body winding gently through the folds of distant hills. Moss covers its surface, soft and green, clinging to every crack, every curve. The wall does not rise to command anymore. It rests, quiet, wrapped in the patience of time. Around it, mist drifts in slow spirals, folding across the slopes and fading into the valleys below. The afternoon light bends low, warm and forgiving. It glides across the stones, and for a moment, the wall seems to breathe. Each brick glows faintly, holding the heat of centuries within its skin. The color shifts between gold and gray, alive and still, as if the wall itself were remembering all that it once was. The air carries a soft hum, part wind, part time, a music too quiet to notice, too deep to fade. A bird lands upon a watchtower, its wings spreading wide before it folds them close. The sound of its claws against the stone is light, almost delicate, like a brushstroke on silence. The bird tilts its head, looks out toward the horizon, then settles. Beneath it, grass sways gently, touched by the wind that moves without beginning or end. The movement is slow, circular, calm. The wall stretches onward, disappearing and reappearing with the shape of the hills. Some parts crumble, others remain whole, but all of it belongs to the same breath, the same rhythm. Nature has taken its place beside the stones, the moss, the grass, the drifting clouds, and together they sleep, bound by the same quiet eternity. The air thickens slightly with mist, silver threads crossing through the sun's fading glow. The world feels distant yet close, small yet endless. The wind rises softly, blending with the faint hum of low strings. A deep, slow vibration, like the earth itself, singing to the wall. It carries through the valleys and echoes between the ridges, never sharp, never loud, only pure and steady. The last rays of daylight slide across the towers, touching the broken edges, warming what remains. The light catches the moss, turning it gold for an instant before the color fades into dusk. The birds lift from the stones, their wings brushing against the air in slow rhythm, moving toward the horizon where the sky begins to blur into night. Everything stills. The grass stops swaying, the wind softens, and the sound of the strings fades to a single, long note. The wall lies silent now, not forgotten, but resting. Its long body curves through the land like a sleeping dragon, its breath hidden in the mist. Time passes around it, through it, within it, dissolving into the haze of evening. As the final light disappears, the great wall remains. Timeless, endless, peaceful. It does not speak, yet it holds every whisper of wind, every trace of warmth, every echo of life that has touched it. The air grows still. The world exhales, and in the soft quiet that follows, the wall sleeps, long and deep, between earth and sky, as time melts gently into the mist. Pony Express, the letters across the plains. Before the sun has risen, the world lies beneath a quiet veil of silver mist. The prairie stretches in every direction, endless and soft, wrapped in the pale light of morning yet to come. The grass glistens with dew, each blade trembling gently in the cool air. The horizon is only a suggestion, a faint line where the earth melts into the sky. No voices, no footsteps, no sound of life, only the whisper of the wind, patient and low, breathing through the open land. The air tastes of distance and dust, a mix of cold and promise. The faint rustle of movement breaks the stillness, a horse shifting, its hooves pressing into the damp soil with slow, steady rhythm. A single figure moves within the haze, wrapped in a thick coat that sways with each step. The rider's breath rises in small clouds that vanish as quickly as they form. He checks the saddle, the straps, the worn leather creaking softly beneath his touch. Every sound seems larger here, stretching into the emptiness. The quiet clink of metal, the low exhale of the horse, the faint sigh of fabric against wind. The sky begins to pale, a soft blue brushing against the edges of night. The wind gathers strength, passing over the wide plains, bending the tall grass into long waves. Somewhere far away a bird cries, kicked a lonely note that drifts and fades. The horse stamps once, shaking its mane, the sound muffled by the mist. The rider stands still beside it, his hand resting gently on its neck, feeling the warmth beneath the cool air. The light begins to shift, slow and tender. The first trace of the sun stretches across the horizon, touching the tips of the grass with faint gold. The mist begins to lift, curling upward, revealing more of the world with each breath of wind. The air moves in quiet layers, gossamer, endless, alive. There is no hurry here, no need for motion yet. The land itself seems to wait. The wind hums softly through the leather straps, through the open grass, through the silence of dawn. And in that stillness, the rider stands ready, not to chase time, but to join it, carried forward by the calm and patient breath of the awakening prairie. The first sound to break the morning calm is the slow, steady rhythm of hooves upon the earth. It comes softly at first, like a heartbeat beneath the wind, then steadies into a gentle cadence. The sound of a journey beginning. The horse moves through the thinning mist, each step pressing into the soft ground with a quiet thud, leaving behind faint impressions that vanish almost at once beneath the shifting grass. The rhythm is calm, unhurried, endless. The rider leans slightly forward, his breath even, his coat brushing softly against the saddle. At his side, a small leather satchel hangs, light but carried with care. Inside it, letters bound with twine, their paper rough and creased from many hands. They rest against his leg, moving with the same quiet rhythm as the horse's stride. Around him, the world opens wide, stretching farther than sight, an ocean of pale gold grass bending under the morning wind. A faint path runs ahead, a narrow track pressed into the land by countless hooves before his. It winds gently between low hills, crosses through shallow dips, disappears, then returns again like a thought that never quite fades. The light grows with every passing minute. Shadows shrink, colors deepen, the air brightens to a soft, glowing hue. They pass a wooden bridge, small and worn, its planks creaking lightly as the horse steps across. The sound of hooves on wood is hollow, slow, and soothing, a lullaby of motion. Beneath the bridge, a thin stream moves lazily, water sliding over stone with a sound so soft it might be mistaken for wind. The rider glances once at the reflection of light on the water's surface, then looks ahead again, eyes fixed on the horizon. The path carries them onward, through fields where the grass grows high enough to brush against the stirrups. The scent of earth rises, warm now as the sun climbs higher. The wind follows them, not pushing or resisting, only moving alongside, whispering across the rider's shoulders, weaving through the horse's mane. The sound of it fills the space between heartbeats. An endless, gentle hum. Every motion feels familiar, like something remembered rather than done. The rise and fall of the horse, the slow shifting of light, the subtle creak of the saddle, all of it flows together into a single rhythm. There is no hurry in it, no rush toward a destination. Only movement for its own sake, calm and constant, carrying both man and message through the quiet breath of morning. The sound of hooves fades and returns, fading again, each echo softer than the last. The land around them widens, the grass glows under the rising sun, and the faint line of the horizon stretches farther still. The rider lowers his head slightly, his hand resting on the satchel, as if to steady the world. The journey has begun, not with urgency, but with peace. A slow, continuous motion that drifts like wind, moving outward, onward, into the golden calm of the waking plains. The wind begins to soften as the rider approaches the edge of the next station. The rhythm of the hooves slows, the sound falling into a steady, quiet beat. Ahead, a small wooden cabin appears through the drifting dust, standing alone against the horizon. A faint light flickers from within, a lantern swaying gently by the door, its glow trembling in the wind. The sound of the horse's breathing deepens, and the rider eases his hand along its neck, guiding it toward rest. The cabin is small, made of rough timber, darkened by years of sun and sand. The air smells faintly of wood smoke and leather, of long days and quiet nights. The door opens with a low creak, the hinges groaning softly, and a shadow moves across the threshold. No voices rise, no greetings are spoken. Only the sounds of work done in silence, of a rhythm learned by heart. Inside, the light glows warm, throwing soft circles across the walls. A man steps forward, his boots muffled against the earth floor. He reaches for the mail pouch, the leather worn smooth by many hands. The exchange is wordless, effortless. One satchel given, another received. The sound of it is small, like a whisper between breaths. In the distance, a horse snorts, shaking its head, the chain of its bridle chiming faintly in the dark. Outside, another rider readies a fresh mount. The new horse stamps its hooves, restless but calm, its coat shining faintly in the light of the lantern. A bucket of water sits by the door. A hand dips in, pours, and the sound of trickling fills the silence. The night air carries the faint scent of hay and smoke, mingling with the steady rhythm of the wind pressing against the wooden walls. The departing rider adjusts his coat, checks the straps once more, and pulls the satchel tight. He does not speak, only nods, and turns toward the open plain. The door swings shut behind him, closing with a soft thud. The lantern outside wavers, its flame bending in the wind, casting long shadows that stretch across the ground. The horse begins to move again, hooves brushing lightly against the packed earth. The light from the cabin fades quickly, swallowed by distance and dark. The faint sound of footsteps continues a moment longer. Someone returning inside, the door closing once more, the crackle of the fire within. Then the sound fades, leaving only the wind and the long, unbroken silence of the plains. Behind them, the station becomes a small flicker of gold, trembling faintly like a star too close to the ground. The rider does not look back. The path calls forward, wide and empty, under a sky heavy with dusk. The wind rises again, sweeping through the grass, carrying the scent of smoke and the soft echo of hooves already far away. The lantern burns for a moment more, swaying gently in the wind, and then, with the slowest, quietest breath, it dims, leaving only the night, the wind, and the long road beyond. The light begins to fade. The sun leans low over the edge of the world, pouring its final warmth across the open plain. The sky turns slowly, first gold, then amber, then a deep, soft red that glows along the horizon. The air grows still, holding its breath, heavy with dust and light. The sound of hooves has slowed, each one landing with a muted thud upon the earth. The rhythm is faint now, stretched thin by distance and the weight of the day. The horse moves with calm patience, its mane brushing the wind, its breath steady and low. The rider leans forward slightly, the lines of his body tracing the long curve of motion that has carried him since morning. Neither hurry nor hesitation remains, only the quiet pulse of movement as though the land itself were carrying them onward. Shadows lengthen across the grass, merging into one another until horse and rider become a single shape gliding through the light. The wind has softened, no longer sharp, only whispering. It slips past in gentle waves, touching the tall grass, stirring the last warmth of the sun. The scent of dust lingers in the air, mixed with something faintly sweet, the dry perfume of wildflowers hidden in the field. The sky deepens to crimson, the first stars already trembling at its edge. Each sound grows more distant now. The creak of the saddle fades, the faint jingle of the reins drifts away. The hooves fall farther apart, slower, softer. The horse exhales, the sound low and round, rolling into the stillness. There are no voices, no commands, no words to fill the silence, only the even breath of life moving through space. Far off, a bird calls once, then twice, before its song dissolves into the wide air. The first traces of night appear at the edges of the hills, cool and silver. The rider's eyes lift toward the horizon, where the last light flickers, warm and fading. His hand rests on the saddle's worn leather, his fingers brushing the edge of the mail satchel that has traveled with him for so long. The world feels slower here, stretched thin between light and dark. Each moment lingers, suspended, like dust floating in the final rays of day. The air cools, the ground softens under the hooves. The horse's ears twitch at the faint sound of wind moving through the grass. And then all is still again. A long silence follows. 10 quiet seconds where nothing moves, nothing breaks the calm. Only the wind drifts through, brushing softly against the world. When sound returns, it comes in whispers. A bird settling into the tall grass, the low murmur of air sliding past. The horizon darkens to violet, and the road disappears into shadow. The rider continues, unhurried, his silhouette fading slowly into the evening. The journey does not end. It simply softens, slipping into the calm of night, carried forward by wind and memory through the fading glow of a sky that no longer burns but breathes. The world has grown quiet again. The long road that once carried the steady rhythm of hooves now lies still beneath the wind. The grass has risen high over the trails, soft and silver in the evening light. The air carries the faint scent of dust and rain, drifting low across the open plains. The story of the riders has slowed, each sound fading into the wide calm of the land. Across the horizon, new shapes begin to appear. Tall wooden poles standing in a long and endless line. Between them, a thin silver wire hums faintly in the wind, stretching toward the distance where the sky meets the earth. The world has found a new voice, one made of metal and spark. A soft, rhythmic clicking fills the air. delicate, measured, almost like a heartbeat. It is the sound of the telegraph, carrying words through the sky instead of over the plains. The wind brushes past the wires, making them sing in low, trembling tones. The hum rises and falls, blending with the quiet hiss of air and the faint murmur of the earth below. The wooden poles creak gently, their roots deep in the soil that once held the tracks of galloping horses. The sound of hooves has been replaced by the whisper of electricity, invisible, endless, alive. The riders have returned to stillness. Their horses graze in wide fields, manes rippling in the wind, their breath slow and steady. Saddles rest upon fence posts, leather softened by time. The men who once rode through wind and storm now sit beside their small homes, the light of evening reflecting in their eyes. They listen to the wind as it passes, the same wind that once carried them forward, the same voice that now carries memory. Nothing is truly gone. The path remains, woven into the land itself. Faint lines across the grass, a shimmer of dust when the sun falls just right. The wind still moves through it, tracing every turn, every mile, every breath of a journey that once connected a scattered world. The telegraph wires sing softly, their notes rising and fading like distant bells. The sound is not sharp, but soothing, a song of change that hums gently across the open plain. The wind joins it, moving through the grass, bending it in slow, graceful waves. Together they make a music both new and ancient, the echo of all that has passed, all that still remains. As the night deepens, the plains grow cool. Stars appear above, countless and pale, watching quietly as the world shifts beneath them. The faint clicking of the telegraph fades to silence, leaving only the soft sigh of the wind. Somewhere, far away, the sound of hooves returns. Not near, not real, only a memory carried by air. It grows softer and softer until it is nothing more than a heartbeat in the distance. The wind stretches long across the land, and the last echoes drift away. The riders sleep, the horses rest, and the great road of the Pony Express lies beneath the grass, forgotten by time, but alive in the breath of the plains. The world exhales, the sound fades, and all that remains is wind. The journey of sound, the evolution of the violin. Long before the halls of music, before stages or instruments of polished wood, there was only silence and the curiosity of a single hand. Somewhere in the stillness of time, a person stretched a simple string between two pieces of wood, pulled it tight, and waited. The air was quiet, the world unmoving, until one small motion brought the first trembling sound. It was not a melody, not yet a song, only a vibration, a breath that quivered softly through the air. The sound hung there, fragile and pure, like morning light over still water. It wavered and shimmered, fading, then returning again with another touch. The space around it seemed to listen. The walls of a small hut, or perhaps the open plain, catching and carrying the tone in gentle echoes. There was no rhythm, no intent, only the wonder of hearing something born from silence. The string vibrated again, its note uncertain but alive. The air moved in response, soft ripples spreading outward, brushing against skin, against thought. It was as if the world itself had exhaled, finding its voice for the very first time. The sound was both delicate and eternal, one note resting inside another, fading into the distance where wind and memory meet. Outside, the light shifted. The faint breeze stirred the leaves, their soft rustle blending with the thin silvery tone. Each sound leaned into the next until it was impossible to tell where one began and another ended. The human hand that had drawn the first tone paused, feeling the vibration still pulsing through the wood. It was warmth, and it was movement, invisible, but full of life. Time passed, and the note lingered in the air long after the string had fallen silent. The idea of sound, drawing voice from stillness, had been born. The world listened. It carried that memory forward, the trembling of a string, the hum of air, the way sound could travel from one soul to another without words. Somewhere in that endless quiet, the seed of music began to take root. The string rested, the air stilled, and silence returned, not as emptiness, but as space waiting to be filled once more. The breath of the first sound lingered there, soft and patient, wrapped in the quiet promise of all that would come after. And beneath it all, faint and steady, the single vibration continued, a gentle whisper of beginnings. The story of sound drifts onward, carried by the wind across sand and sea. What began as a trembling string in a quiet tent now travels beneath the vast expanse of desert sky. The air is dry, warm, filled with the scent of dust and the faint shimmer of distant stars. The sound of a single string hums gently in the wind, a tone so soft it might be mistaken for breath. It moves with the nomads who cross the dunes, their silhouettes gliding beneath the light of dawn. Tied to their saddles and wrapped in cloth, small instruments rest, curved bodies of wood and string that hum when touched by wandering fingers. Each night, as fires burn low and the sand cools to silver, someone draws a bow across a string. The sound rises thin and beautiful, floating upward toward the endless dark. The music does not belong to one place or one people. It belongs to the air itself, to the open land that stretches farther than sight. The melody is simple, repeating like footsteps, fading and returning with the rhythm of the wind. The sound drifts with them, over dunes that shine under moonlight, through valleys where the air thickens with heat, past the edges of the known world. It travels like smoke, rising and falling, until it reaches the sea. There the wind changes, carrying salt and mist. The waves join the song, their rhythm deep and patient. The sound mingles with them, becoming softer, broader, and begins again across the water. Far away, in lands of stone and green, the same tone finds new hands. The wooden body is reshaped, curved a little deeper, the strings tighten just so. In quiet corners of dim-lit rooms, the first artisans listen. Heads bowed, eyes closed, letting the vibration tell them what shape it wants to take. The sound is still the same at its heart, one breath stretched thin across silence. But now it echoes differently, longer, fuller, as if the air itself has grown deeper. The instrument changes, but the soul of it remains untouched. From tents to ships, from mountain roads to palace halls, the tone never loses its stillness. It hums through the centuries, brushing against the walls of marble corridors, filling the air above golden floors. The strings sing of sand and wind, of footsteps through faraway lands, of nights lit only by firelight and stars. The bow glides softly, the notes swell and fade like tides. The same breath that once trembled in the desert now lingers beneath vaulted ceilings, carrying warmth through the cold marble air. The melody moves without destination, as though it remembers every hand that has ever held it. Outside the great halls, the wind still hums, desert wind, sea wind, the wind of the plains, all blending into one endless tone. There is no border between them, no beginning, no end, only a single thread of sound stretching through time, connecting one world to another. It moves softly, endlessly, as if the earth itself were playing a string no one can see. The air inside the small stone room is cool and still. Shadows move softly across the walls, trembling with the flame of a single candle. Its light falls upon the surface of wood, smooth, pale, newly shaped by careful hands. The scent of resin and sawdust lingers faintly in the air, warm against the quiet chill. A man sits by the workbench, head bent, listening to the silence before sound. Outside, the night is calm. The world waits. He lifts the instrument slowly, his fingers tracing its curved body, the grain of the wood glowing under the candlelight. The strings shimmer faintly in the flicker of flame. For a long moment, he does not move. He only breathes, feeling the weight of stillness around him. Then, with a slow motion, he raises the bow and lets it rest against the first string. The sound that follows is almost nothing. A whisper, a breath, a tremor that seems to come from the room itself. It lingers, faint and uncertain, before growing into a tone so soft and round it feels like light turned into air. The note drifts upward, touches the stone ceiling and falls gently back down. The man pauses, the bow still in his hand, listening as the sound stretches out, growing thinner until it disappears. The silence that follows is not empty. It is filled with the memory of vibration, the ghost of resonance. He tries again. Another note. Longer this time, fuller, blooming outward like ripples on water. The air itself seems to change. Warmer now, alive. Each vibration touches the stone walls, the wood of the table, the flickering flame, and returns, altered but familiar, like an echo that has learned how to breathe. The sound spreads through the room, gentle and fluid, filling every corner until even the shadows seem to hum. The candle sways in the faint breeze, its light dancing across the curve of the instrument. The man's eyes follow it, calm and steady, his movements slow. Every note is born from patience, from silence given shape. The tones slide one into another, no separation, no hurry, only flow, like wind touching water, soft and endless. He stops for a moment, lowering the bow. The air is thick with resonance. It feels as though the sound remains, even without motion, even without breath. The small room seems larger now, stretched by the music that still lingers in the air. Outside, the wind shifts, brushing against the window, carrying the faintest echo of the sound outward, into the streets, the hills, the night beyond. The man sets the violin down gently, the bow beside it. His fingers hover above the strings, feeling their faint warmth, the life that still hums within them. The candlelight flickers again, soft gold against the quiet wood. For a long while, he does not move. The sound is gone, yet it remains, invisible, suspended in the stillness. In that silence, something begins. The violin has found its voice, fragile, pure, and eternal. Its tone rests in the air like a sigh, fading into the darkness as the candle burns lower and the night listens in perfect peace. The light inside the grand hall glows golden and soft. Candles shimmer in tall holders, their reflections dancing upon the curved bodies of violins resting beneath careful hands. The air hums gently with warmth, filled with the scent of wax, wood, and thyme. The bow rises, pauses, and falls, and the first sound blooms like silk unfurling in the still air. It is not loud, it does not rush, it flows steady and smooth, like water tracing its way through light. Names drift through the centuries, Amati, Stradivari, Vivaldi, spoken not as history, but as echoes suspended in the air, glowing faintly like mist. Their names are not called aloud but felt, resting softly upon the strings that sing their legacy. Each carries the same breath that began in the deserts, in the quiet tents, in the trembling of a single string. But now the sound has found its fullness. It fills the halls and the heart alike, deep and bright, resonant with life. The orchestra breathes as one. The musicians move together, their bows gliding across the strings in long, unbroken lines. The rhythm is slow, 3 steps that turn gently over themselves, a waltz within a dream. The music does not rise or fall. It floats, hovering just above the air. Every note touches another, blending into a continuous shimmer that drifts upward toward the high ceilings, then circles back down like falling light. The violins glow under the candlelight, their brown varnish rich as honey, the curves of their bodies polished smooth by centuries of touch. The sound they give is neither sharp nor sweet, but perfectly balanced, a breath between joy and rest. The wooden floors beneath the players seem to listen, their fibers trembling softly with each vibration. Even the silence between notes feels alive, holding the shape of what has just passed. Outside the tall windows, night settles over the city. The wind moves gently through the streets, carrying the faintest hint of music beyond the walls. Inside, the melody continues, slow and endless, a thread of gold winding through the air. The violins sing in quiet harmony, their tones weaving together like strands of light. The music becomes almost still, a single, held note that stretches long enough to become timeless. It hums low in the chest, warm and round, filling the listener with calm. Every sound carries the memory of hands that shaped it, of voices that believed in beauty without words. When the final bow draws across the final string, the tone lingers, fading but never gone. The last vibration rests upon the air like a sigh, tender and complete. The candle flames sway once more, as if to bow. The hall falls silent, but it is not empty. The echoes of Amati, Stradivari and Vivaldi drift softly through the stillness, dissolving into the night. The violins rest in their players' hands, their wood warm, their strings quiet but awake. Outside, the wind continues to hum, gentle, unbroken, carrying the music of a century into the endless calm of time. The sound of the violin drifts outward, far beyond the walls of its birthplaces. It carries through time and air, passing from hand to hand, from heart to heart, until no border can contain it. It travels softly, finding its way into every corner of the world, into grand theaters where velvet curtains fall like clouds, into narrow streets where light glows in puddles after rain, into quiet rooms where someone sits alone, listening. The voice of the violin remains the same, warm, round, tender, as if whispering the same story in every language. In the echo of each bow, the world breathes together. The notes rise in distant concert halls, shimmering against marble and glass, then return again on the breeze that crosses oceans. In small towns, the sound hums through open windows, mingling with the scent of bread and rain. On faraway hillsides, it floats above the fields, mingled with birdsong and the rustle of leaves. Everywhere it goes, the music carries the same pulse, slow, even, unbroken, like the rhythm of the earth turning beneath the stars. No matter the place, no matter the hands that hold it, the violin speaks with one voice, soft, human, eternal. It weaves through the bustle of cities and the silence of plains, through laughter, through sleep, through time itself. Its tone changes color with the air, golden in the morning, silver in the evening. Yet its soul remains untouched, a single thread of sound winding through centuries. The wind joins the melody, carrying it across continents. The long notes stretch wide, blending with the low hum of the world, with waves, with footsteps, with distant bells. The sound becomes something larger than music, a gentle vibration that reminds everything it touches to breathe. The violin no longer belongs to one place or one moment. It has become a memory shared by all who have ever listened. And so it continues, carried by air, by silence, by time. The bow moves, slow and steady, each stroke an exhale, each note a reminder that beauty needs no words. The violin plays on, in theatres, in streets, in dreams, a quiet companion to the heartbeat of the world. Its sound does not fade, it simply drifts, glowing softly, as if the ear. The room is dim now, wrapped in the last breath of light. The air is still, warm and soft, touched only by the quiet glow that lingers upon the wooden floor. A single violin leans gently against the wall, its body curved in shadow, its strings catching what little light remains. The candle has burned low, the flame trembling, folding into itself. The silence feels alive, not empty, but full of waiting. The violin does not move, yet it seems to breathe. Its strings remain stretched, patient and ready, holding the memory of sound within their slender tension. For a moment, the air shifts, and a soft wind passes through the open window. It brushes the strings and a single tone rises, faint, fragile, like a sigh half remembered. The note shivers, floats upward, and lingers in the air, glowing in the darkness like the last spark of day. The sound stretches, fading slowly, carried by the warmth of the room. It hums against the stillness, dissolving gently, becoming softer with each breath. It feels endless, though it is only a whisper. The tone narrows, thinner and thinner, until it becomes nothing more than the memory of vibration, a feeling that trembles within the quiet. The candle gives one final flicker, and the light fades completely. The violin stands in the dark, its strings silent once more. Yet even in the silence there is sound, invisible, infinite, the echo of a note that has fallen asleep. The air settles. The world holds still. And in that perfect stillness, sound finds its rest, warm, peaceful, and forever. The breath after sound. The story drifts to its quiet end, like a tide folding into itself. The air has grown still again, the kind of stillness that only comes after music, when the last note has faded but still lingers in the chest. Somewhere far away, the wind continues to move, but softly now, like a memory, repeating itself in half-sleep. The journey has circled back to silence. The soldier's fire has burned to ash. The great wall lies beneath the mist, its stones warm from the touch of sunlight long gone. The plains are empty, save for the whisper of grass bending under invisible hooves. And the violin, that patient, trembling heart, rests once more against the wall, its strings humming faintly in the dark, holding the last echo of the world's breath. All the sounds that once filled these spaces, the clink of armor, the hum of the wind, the slow song of strings, now blend into one long exhale. Nothing is lost. Every tone ever made still vibrates somewhere, hidden within the folds of time. The world keeps its memories quietly, tucked inside the rhythm of air, of earth, of sleep. The candle burns low, then dims. The air cools, wrapping everything in gentle shadow. Outside, the stars rise without effort, their light falling in waves across the fields and stone, the rivers and walls. Every shimmer feels like a heartbeat, steady and calm, echoing the same pulse that has moved through every moment before. You are here now, at the edge of sound where silence hums and time stands still. The night is not empty. It listens. The world breathes with you. The same breath that stirred the soldier's dawn, that carried the riders across the plains, that sang through the wood of the violin, now moves through the quiet of your own chest. And as that breath slows, the story settles into rest, not ending, but becoming still. The air thickens with peace. The wind sighs one final time through the unseen strings of the earth. Then softly, everything fades. The light, the sound, the thought, until all that remains is the quiet pulse of sleep, deep and endless, carrying you gently into the hush beyond dreams.